How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Cover 2 Draft Edition, and welcome in all you Tecmo Bowl players. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst ready to call the shots in his fourth draft, feeling very much like his predecessor, Ted Thompson, that the draft is the lifeblood of a franchise. However, this is a franchise that has also been to the doorstep of the Super Bowl each of the last 2 seasons and returns largely intact. So what does Goody need to find this weekend to help deliver a Super Bowl? Bailey Burmaster has more on the boss.
No one knows who Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst will take in the first round of the NFL draft with the 29th overall pick. Historically, Goody has made 4 first-round trades in his first 3 years as the GM. The Packers know not to fall in love with certain players, but aren't afraid to trade up if the price is right. However, this year is different with how vastly scouting has been affected by the pandemic.
This will be the first year I can remember going into a draft where I didn't feel like I saw pretty much every player on our board to some extent, because when you're at the combine, you get to see those guys and kind of compare them side by side. Without that, this year specifically, I probably went out to more pro days this year than probably since back when Ted was still here and I was kind of the director of college scouting, and I went to over 20 a year, so probably got to about 12 this year. So I think that was really important. But this will be the first year that I think we go into the draft where there's guys we will draft where I haven't actually seen live.
With COVID restrictions, it's no doubt been harder for NFL teams to scout players. So having rules to help make decisions will be an even bigger priority than years past. There's a reason Green Bay hasn't drafted many receivers or corners who are 5'9". Regardless of talent, these standards help trim the field and fit a track record of success.
Let's take a look at Brian Gutekunst's track record as Packers general manager. So far in his 3 years calling the shots, he's selected 28 players. Of those, 4 no longer in the league. The rest are on Green Bay's roster. Now, he's had success in the first 2 rounds. The jury is still out on quarterback Jordan Love because he's sitting behind an MVP and he has yet to even play in a preseason game. But Goody's other first-rounders have been solid. Rashawn Gary, Darnell Savage, and Jair Alexander. The second round has also been fruitful, with all-pro lineman Elton Jenkins and running back A.J. Dillon. The only potential miss there, 2018 second-rounder Josh Jackson. Goody will have 2 picks in the top 65 at his disposal.
Well, as we get set to dissect all things draft from pick number 1 to 259, it's time to look big picture. Green Bay already has a superb squad before the selections begin. The Packers have gone to 4 NFC title games in the last 7 years, and while they haven't made it to the Super Bowl in that span, no other team in the NFC has even made it to 2 title games total in the last 7 seasons. The Packers have gone twice in a row and hosted last year. They are plenty good enough to win with their current roster, especially after GM Brian Gutekunst and cap guru Russ Ball stepped out of their comfort zones to restructure stars up and down the roster without cutting their way to cap compliance.
I think the situation we find ourselves in, maybe differently than we have in the past here, is just that we've kind of really pushed out some money into future years because we realize the opportunity that is before us. You know what I mean? We're a really good football team. We've been knocking on the door for 2 years, and we'd like to finish that.
It's easy for fans to be over-eager for the team to sign a native Sun star like J.J. Watt or ask Gutekunst to really mortgage the future to trade for a star like Julio Jones. But Goody's already in win-now mode. It just looks different than some expect.
The way I look at it is we were able to kind of sign the number 1 running back on the market, the number 1 left tackle on the market, and the number 1 defensive tackle on the market. So we just happened to all play for us, which is great. Kudos to Ted Thompson there. But I thought we were very active. We certainly did a lot.
As of right now, the Packers have 10 picks in this year's draft, starting in the first round with the 29th overall selection. In 3 years as GM, Brian Gutekunst has been aggressive early and often. 3 drafts, 4 trades in the first round. In 2018, he traded back and then traded back up, winding up with now all-pro corner Jair Alexander. In 2019, Goody stayed put at number 12 overall, but he moved up from 30th to 21st to take Darnell Savage. And last year, of course, trading up 4 spots to grab quarterback Jordan Love. Maybe somebody that can play opposite Jair Alexander.
That's a great point, Chris. Eric Stokes from Georgia is one of those guys. He's a little over 6 feet. I just don't know that you can play winning pass defense with a whole bunch of 5'10", 5'11" corners. Stokes gives you that size. Last year at Georgia, he allowed 12 receiving yards per game in the SEC. He's a really good player. Not super good ball skills, but he's really sticky and really, really fast.
Welcome back, everybody. UW Whitewater's Quinn Miner sure looked like he was playing in a video game at this year's Senior Bowl. The D3 nobody made himself into a somebody, pancaking big school linemen, of course, all while letting that belly hang out. Bailey rejoins us with more on the legend of the mighty Quinn.
Before the Senior Bowl, the reality is you probably had no idea who Quinn Miners was. After the Senior Bowl, you'd probably recognize him by his self-proclaimed gut. Now the reality is the former Warhawk is a projected second-round pick.
Kind of getting borderline ridiculous what he's doing up front this week.
My nickname in high school was the Gut. My nickname at Whitewater was the Gut. That was just something that, I always had my, my belly hanging out, during camp and whatever. It gets hot in August, hot and humid in August. And so I was always kind of, let the belly breathe. It was very odd to have, the media react the way they did, because it's just something that I've always done. And it's just kind of cool to, represent the big guys.
The Gut grabbed attention first. However, Miner's fast physical play at the 2021 Senior Bowl stole the show.
I had a lot of, people saying that I was an inspiration to Division III football players, which is awesome. Not only am I trying to inspire, Warhawks and, really represent, our conference, but all of Division III football, because, I think there's a lot of great players, that are in Division III and were, very easily overlooked.
The Warhawk not only had to learn how to play center for the Senior Bowl, but also ended up breaking his hand, yet his stock kept climbing.
Before Senior Bowl, I was kind of looking, 7th round undrafted free agent was kind of where I was falling, not having a 2019 season, being a Division III football player. But after the Senior Bowl week and the week that I've had, I think I've been able to climb boards and become a day 2, person.
That may not have been possible without the work Miners put in during the off-season, spending this past summer in Canada at his uncle's fishing camp, with nothing but the good old outdoors. Splitting wood, curling water jugs, and even winning in the trenches.
Big believer in, hard work and effort. Effort is something that you can always control. So whether it's practice, game, weight room, walkthroughs, I'm always trying to, go as hard as I can, whatever the moment that is, because, when it comes time to something like this, where it's the Senior Bowl, when, you're going to rely on your fundamentals and what you've always done when it comes to those big moments. And what I've always done is hard work, prepare as well as I can, and, have that chip on my shoulder of, being under-recruited and, always counted out.
With his confidence at an all-time high and his work ethic to back it up, the Bears and Packers had already scouted the lineman, and all 32 teams were at his pro day.
I took it very seriously once that happened. I changed a lot of things in my life, my diet, and the way I eat, and the way I'm training and stuff like that. And when it comes down to it, football is football, no matter what division you're from. And it's when that ball snaps, it's who are you? And I know who I am. I play fast, physical, and disciplined, and I don't really know much about the other guys. I was able to watch a little bit of film to kind of understand who I was going against. But at the end of the day, I just stay true to myself. Even when it comes to interviews, I stay true to myself, and that was, I think that's just the best way to handle things, just be who you are.
Being the Gut has gotten him this far, so why stop now?
That I belong to be with those big name guys.
In fact, Quinn Miners could be the highest drafted Warhawk in school history, continuing his ability to motivate and inspire Division III players just like himself. Chris?
Aaron Rodgers, where do we stand with this situation? Rob, let's start with you. Is there mending still to be done here?
Oh, absolutely there is, Chris, because nothing has been done. Nothing's been done since last year at this time when they drafted Jordan Love. Nothing's been done since he was marching his way to the MVP last season. Nothing was done when they had a chance to do some things with the roster bonus the third day of the league year. So we are still very much in this situation. And hey, let's see if they get something done or if he just goes into this year as is and, has to play as, I guess you'd call it, lame duck status.
Mark, did anything Goody said the other day make you change your mind that this is going to, end peacefully?
It sounds like they're going to try and get something done, but whatever gets done is not going to change this narrative as long as the heir apparent is now climbed from number 3 to number 2. This conversation is going to go on no matter how happy Aaron is with his security or the money or whatever. I don't know what happened to Aaron's peace of mind where he just did not want any more of this thing to even bother him anymore. Just go out and play and let's just be a quarterback. I wish he'd stick to that, but no one else seems to be able to do that. They want to drive this story every which way but loose.
Well, Jason, I think it was in your question to Goody the other day. You asked him to be honest with you. Do you think he was?
No, he didn't answer the question at all. And I'll say this. My good friend Rob Domofsky texted me afterward and said, "Are you okay? You sounded exasperated." I am exasperated. Look, let's make a couple of things clear here. We're not making this story up. There is discord. He is unhappy. Whether or not he's willing to publicly discuss it, to me, is the next step in here. So after the draft, if he opens up and says, here's what I want, here's what I'm unhappy with, here's what I'm asking for, then we can move the story forward. But I assure you that Rob and I and our colleagues take our job seriously. We're not making this up because we're bored.
The Packers currently have the 29th selection in the first round if GM Brian Gutekunst decides to stay in that spot. Green Bay has drafted 2 players at number 29. Back in 2003, former Packers head coach and GM Mike Sherman picking Oregon State linebacker Nick Barnett, who amassed over 1,000 tackles during his NFL career and was part of the Packers Super Bowl 45 team. The only other Packer drafted 29th, safety George Teague from Alabama. Ron Wolf picking him in 1993. Teague spent 3 seasons as a starter in Green Bay before playing for the Cowboys and the Dolphins. Now, the last time the Packers had the 29th pick, 2017, Ted Thompson deciding to trade back out of the first round, passing on Wisconsin standout TJ Watt, and eventually selecting Kevin King in the second round. And welcome back to Cover 2 Draft Edition. Now, speaking of Badgers, Wisconsin has become, as you know, an NFL pipeline for offensive linemen. Another one hoping to hear his name called this weekend, that's Green Bay native Cole Van Lanen. Dave is back with his story.
We saw your potential, and now we see your dreams about to become a reality. What has this pre-draft process been like for you, and how excited are you for the end of the month?
After the season, I trained down in Dallas, Texas. I had my pro day, and now it's just a lot of interviews and stuff leading up to the draft. And kind of just excited to see where it goes.
What point in your career did you realize that you had the talent and capabilities to make the NFL dream a reality?
I was definitely high school. I was always like a tall kid, but I was never really a big kid. But sophomore year of high school, I really kind of blew up, got to like 270.
A lot of Badger fans and NFL fans about to watch you join their team may not realize how good of a track athlete you were, winning all those state titles and the shot put and the discus as well. How much of an advantage was it for you to be able to be a 2-sport star?
I mean, I think about track a lot, miss it. I think a lot of things cross-train each other. I don't think you should ever just focus on one sport.
Thanks for watching Cover 2 Draft Edition. We hope you enjoy the draft and enjoy your evening.